Welcome to Rock the Crown. Hey, what's up, Crown Nation? Welcome to Rock the Crown. It's your Queen Naima with my Queen Nefertari. And today you are watching and listening to Rock the Crown podcast, the show that talks about all things leading to a full life and the legacy of a Muslim woman. Today, we're talking about AI ChatGPT, using it now to level up your business. And speaking of leveling up your business, Nefertari, let's go back over this past week because you and I just returned from ROI, the Millionaire Summit with Rachel Rogers. And speaking of leveling up the business, we had a time, correct?
Oh yeah, it was amazing, and even not totally being a part of the conference itself, like it was just amazing just being around so many successful women, so many women who are just upbeat, uplifted, helping each other, channeling their pathway, So it was amazing, So I was picking up every nugget that I could get from every direction, from every person that I ran into, and it was just a beautiful experience. And of course, we just want to congratulate Naima again, Coach Naima Abdullah Wells. Woo, 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 woo. She
So
did that thing. She's
excited.
been in school for the past 12 months, and it was definitely a hard workout for her, and she got to the finish line. And so she is definitely ready to soar and help as many women as she can in developing lifestyle, skill set, business, all of that. So
Yes, alhamdulillah. And I also want to give a shout out and thank Nafisa, who was also on the trip with us. And so I was so blessed to have Nafisa and Nefertari come out to support me for the ROI Hello 7 Coach Certification graduation. Thank you so much, Queens.
So tell them, what does ROI mean?
ROI actually means return on. And so what Rachel Rogers often says is, I can be whatever you want it to be. So people go there with intentions. And that's the first thing that she always talks about, is like making your intention before you go, so that you'll know exactly what your I is going to mean for you. And so again, so many people, so many definitions for the letter I. And of course, mine is impossible. Not like in a bad way, but making sure that whatever I do, I know that nothing is impossible. So my R is impossible. So went into ROI with that intention, and just, so filled up with so many great ideas, so many things that I want to do with this certification. And so I can't wait to get started. But speaking of getting started, let's start off with this AI. Go ahead.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we just want to welcome you again to Rock the Crown. So today, as Naima said, we're going to be talking about the AI GPT. So this is where we're going to be kind of giving you some tidbits on how to use this now to level up your business. Okay, so we're going to be harnessing the power of AI, and we're going to dive right into just innovative ways where your businesses can leverage and transform in various ways for your operations. So from automating customer support to generating creative content ideas, assisting in data analysis, and even exploring groundbreaking product concepts. So it's going to be really great getting into this information. So join us on how we're going to be able to help you to unravel the potential of AI. I know this is really a new thing for a lot of us. I know the first time I heard about it was almost a year ago. I think it was probably March last year. I really didn't use it very much, but I kind of started playing around with it. But this is something that a lot of people are using their business for, to leverage and teaching other people what they can do and how they can benefit from it. Of course, you have to, customize things. You use it as a helpmate pretty much. And so we're going to get started with just letting you know what the exciting possibilities are going to be. And so we're going to touch on things like customer support and automation, content creation, lead generation, training and onboarding. When you start putting your teams together, personalizing your marketing, and just innovative ways that you can come up with product ideas. Also, interactive website experiences. A lot of times we go to different websites and you put information in and things are talking to you. They're using this kind of information. Also, data analysis assistance. So we're going to get into, let's start with customer support. Naima, you want to get started on that?
Yeah, so customer service automation. I love this because some of you all may know, and some of you may not know, but I've been an operations manager for different companies before. And this customer service automation is so, so important when you don't have a big team. So,
Yes.
as you're growing your business, when you need someone to be able to answer those questions really quickly, support automation is something that you can pull in. So, Zdesk is one thing that people like to use. What ends up happening is you yourself will create FAQs based on like how people often ask you maybe the same questions over and over. If you have a place where you have like contact us, you can do a review of some of the frequently asked questions, put those into a spreadsheet and or a platform. And what ends up happening is the AI will then, when they see certain words come forward or being asked, they'll automatically give you the answer based on the responses that you, of course, have put into that specific platform. And so, common query handling is one thing, again, with Chat GPT, based on the common customer queries and those their responses. And of course, basically, that's exactly what I was talking about. And this is important. One thing I want to make sure that we also talk about when it comes to Chat GPT is that Chat GPT is not more smarter than the user. So it is only as effective as you are. So if you go in and do something simple in terms of the prompts and the requests, that's exactly what you're going to get. So it's really, really important to train Chat GPT to give you the response that you are specifically looking for. So
Mhm.
again, even we looking at quick response times when it comes to, again, instant responses when people are on your website. A lot of websites have that pop up, or in the corner they have that little button so that when people want to ask questions immediately, that's that's AI. It's not necessarily a person on the other end. It is AI that's kind of helping them, especially when you have that 24/7 availability on your website all day and all
Mhm.
night. And then, of course, learning adaptation, continuously train and update the Chat GPT. So if you have a version of open AI, when you go into there, you can look under the profile, and under the profile it will basically ask you who you are as a person. So if you want every single time Chat GPT to be able to help you with your business, then what you would do in that profile is put who you are, your business name, and then it has basically a section where you can actually put a description of your business and different other things inside of there. So that way, when you go to ask those questions, it's automatically pulling from your profile. If you don't want that, then of course you would leave that profile open. That way, you're able to uh, ask questions from ChatGPT just in general. But those are some of the easy things that you can do to make sure that you get, again, the responses that you're looking for. Then you have, of course, seamless handover to human agents. So sometimes it's where Chat GPT will be able to answer some questions, and if those questions can't be answered, like when within Zdesk, what we would do is we would have Chat GPT ask the questions. If it goes through all the FAQs and people still can't answer, then it'll begin to roll that over into a person. And I know that the platform Monday allows for that automation to happen as well. And any of the, as they would say, bot programs is really what those bots are AI is basically what that is. And then of course you have multilingual support that is integral for businesses that are maybe international or having an audience of more than English speaking people. That's important. And then of course the feedback loop implementation is super super important because it gives customers the ability to rate the AI responses. And of course then when you use that feedback, you're able to make sure that over time your performances go up and up and up.
Mhm. And so the next thing is what we all need to do with our businesses, and this is creating content. So the Chat GPT definitely is a content creator that can assist you with that, generating ideas of, drafting articles or just creating social media posts or assisting you just even in brainstorming ideas, generating or engaging with different materials for you so you can be able to do drafting articles or creating social media, as I said, having brainstorming sessions or just editing. And so when you get into the idea of starting, Naima kind of talked about the starting of the conversation, providing brief information um, on when you get ready to create the content. You can do this by uh, knowing what your goals are and what your target audience is. So you have to actually, have your vision down and some bullet points of what it is that you want and the direction. As Naima mentioned earlier, it's only going to do as much as what you give it. There's going to give you, it's going to answer your question, it's going to give you a little bit what you know, and then you just got to dig a little deeper. And it's really exciting, when you talk about brainstorming and all that. So it can be very useful, but you also have to keep your thinking cap on. I watched a video the other day with a young lady who did a speech for Martin Luther King. I Have a Dream, and one of the things that, and she won the prize. I can't remember exactly what it was, but and in her speech, she mentioned the AI, and so talking about artificial intelligence versus dropping that A and just having the intelligence. So we want to make sure that even though we have this, that you still, use your own intelligence and do your research and all of that. But then, you can capitalize by using this. And of course, it saves you time and all that kind of thing. So when it comes to drafting articles, especially, outlining different points or topics that you may want to cover in your article, engaging in conversations, asking it to be elaborate on whatever points that you want to make for additional information. It in drafting your article. So this is another thing. Requesting help to just structure your content, pretty much, with introductions or subheadings and conclusions. It will do all of that. It's capable of doing all of these things for you. So you can also with creating social media posts. This is an area where you can have this specify the platform and the purpose of your social media. What promotion are you doing? What engagement or announcements is it that you want to be able to make? And you can even use the AI, especially for your graphics and that kind of thing as well, not just for the writing part, although I'm kind of talking about just creating the social content media part of it, but you can also do that. You can actually request it to do your hashtags and emojis, all of that kind of thing. So when you're thinking about your social media, but I would encourage you, make sure you look at it in depth, and make sure it's doing exactly what it is that complements whatever your business is, and making sure that things are across the board, cohesive, I guess I would say, in the language. Even with when you think about the hashtags, a lot of times you may have your personal hashtags, and then you have some that may be developed according to whatever the social media purpose is of what information that you're putting out. So you're able to customize and generate the content that just fits the character in general, visualizing the different elements specifically for each social media platform, especially too. And so then as far as the brainstorming sessions, it can initiate a brainstorming session by just discussing the topic or a theme that you want to explore. Start with that as a basic, and then ask it open-ended questions, to encourage creativity in the responses that it's going to give, and be able to give like unique perspectives on whatever the conversation or information or research it is that you're trying to get. Um, and then on the um, editing and refinement. This is after you're generating the content with ChatGPT. Review and edit the material to ensure, this is what I was saying, make sure it's aligned with whatever it is you're doing, whatever your business is. You want to make sure you read everything. That's
Yeah,
important, Naima.
yeah, all of that.
Read everything and make sure it aligns with your brand, okay? Your brand voice and just the quality standards that you may be setting for yourself, because you never know what, what could get put in there. So you want to make sure you definitely proofread. And then just add your unique insight. Sometimes it's going to give you information that's going to be very helpful to whatever it is that you need, but just kind of structure it and tailor it to whatever your personal view is for your brand.
Yes. And so it's so funny because when you were talking about make sure that it aligns with your company, like sometimes people use Chat GPT and just copy and paste. They get so excited.
Oh my
But
gosh,
what
yeah.
they fail to do is, like, again, what we talked about earlier, is making sure that you're putting the information in the prompt that is in alignment with
Mhm,
what you need for ChatGPT to kind of spit out. And remembering that ChatGPT also is basically like the encyclopedia of the internet, if we can put it that way.
mhm.
Meaning
Right.
that everything that is on the internet is where GPT is generating its information. And so
Time
just
frame.
and making sure that you're not too hung up on, okay, this is going to be my only method, because someone else may have a similar type product and sometimes may use the same words that you do, and you will find that that content may be on both their site and their words as well as yours. So
Mhm.
going on to the next thing is that lead generation. So employ Chat GPT for interactive lead generation on your website. So this is, of course, collecting information and guiding potential customers through the initial queries. So this is so interesting, of course. Most people will say lead generations. Other people will say funnels. It's just so many different terms that people use for this, landing pages and all of these different things. But what's happening is that as people are putting information into it, of course, a Chat GPT powered on your site is where you're going to basically engage visitors and initiate conversations, providing a friendly and interactive experience. But at the same time, what's happening is that Chat GPT is basically getting that information and configuring it to ask initial questions. And
Mhm.
then, of course, it's beginning to understand then the visitor's needs, the visitor's preferences, your visitor's intent. And so, as companies begin to kind of create their thing, they have to understand who is your ideal client, or you'll hear people
Mhm.
saying, who's your ideal avatar? Who's your ideal customer? Your ICA, all of these different languages. But really, if you don't know, this is a great tool to kind of put on your site in order to develop who your ideal client is. And although you can go to Chat GPT and gather this information as well based on what you want your customers to see, you also want to make sure that you are engaging in what your customers want to see, because that is where the lead generation and the turnover turns into sales. If you're only doing a business from your perspective, oftentimes you'll see that your business will end up being halted because you're looking at it like, oh, I don't know why I'm making sales, because it's what you want, not what your customer wants. And so this is why this information is equally as important. And of course, again, as we talked about, some of the things that you can put into these inquiries on your website for ChatGPT to gather is, the names, emails, industries, specific preferences of those people, um, related specifically to your product and or service, and then ensuring that the information gathered, it aligns with your lead qualification criteria. So this is kind of like where if someone says, "Hey, I'm in the industry of such and such and such, and I don't like this, that, and the other," then you know that they may not be ideal for your product and or service. And then that's where you want to just kind of like put them in another box and or category. But then, of
Mhm.
course, you begin to implement a guided conversation flow where ChatGPT assists users in finding the right product and or service. And this is really, really great for people who have a multiplicity of products on their website. So if, say, for instance, I go to a website and I'm looking for a specific t-shirt or something, and you have clothes on your site, then of course, as I'm looking in for these specific things, ChatGPT will be able to find that product for them, let them know where that page is. But also, I'm still gathering data with my potential customers with that information that I'm asking them to fill out these inquiries. And of course, lead qualifications basically determines again if the lead is a potential customer or needs further nurturing. And nurturing sequences is something that I'm sure that you're getting every single day. So when you start thinking about those ads on Facebook, those ads on Instagram, it's nurturing you. You're going to see that ad come up and up and up. Um, and not only that, if you see people who are sending out newsletters, they'll do series of these things, and you'll be maybe get one newsletter that talks about a specific part of the product and or service, and then the next newsletter talks about another portion of that product and or service. And so
Mhm.
this is where, after certain time periods, whether it's 2 days, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, that nurturing sequence ends once that customer actually makes a sale, which is super, super important because, again, lead generation is all about making a sale at the end. It's not just about sending people down the pathway. You want to make sure that you're making the sale. And of course, the call to action is where, again, you're guiding the user to make sure that they're looking at a specific thing, only going through a specific page. And then once that sale happens, ding, so exciting. That's what lead generation is all about. And of course, then you have your follow up mechanism, which is like, hey, if they made a purchase, then automatically your automations go out with, hey, thank you so much for that sale. And then generally, you'll also have an upsell included in there. So, like, hey, you bought this. Now, do you want to buy this too? Right. So,
We
you'll
know
have
we get them all the time.
right, right. You'll have that follow up mechanism. And of course, then you'll begin to target them through another sequence. And one thing, if for people who are really interested in sales and have products, one thing that product and services really, one thing that is once you have a customer that has paid one time, the probability of them paying again is basically 50 to 60% that they'll do it again. And that's a really, really good, it's kind of like 50-50. I don't know if anyone has watched the story of Uber on Netflix, but it was talking about how people, like, if you get them to ride one time, then basically you will have them for a lifetime. And it is so true, because how many people have downloaded the Uber app onto their phone, and now that is like their preference. And so people who downloaded Uber, unless they had a bad experience, they're still using Uber. Now,
Mhm.
sometimes what happens is, like, those people who maybe had a bad experience will then download Lyft. But again, once you have that cell continues to perpetuate. And remembering that as long as it is in demand, you will always make money. So, of course, then you're going to look at your analytics and your optimizations, making sure that as you're tracking the behavior, you are continuing to see that, yes, this is a product that is in demand. This is something that they still need and want. And of course, when you start thinking about building those businesses, is it something that is in demand that they need for survival? Something very,
Mhm.
very important to think about when you're building those businesses.
Naima, when you were talking earlier, I was thinking about my experience. I just had, I think it was earlier today. So you know how when you have these automatic renewals every
Yes.
year, like annual renewals?
Hmm.
So I have literally been renewing this every year, ABC Mouse. Since
Okay.
my little one's 9 now. And so last year, I'm like, oh, they got me again. This time I go, oh no. So I noticed it the other day. And so I went in and I went to the website. And this is another thing when we talk about the bots, right?
Yes.
And so it asks you, so I'm putting in this, me dissertation, right?
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
If you put in words, like you talk about the words, but if you put in words they're not familiar with, they don't know how to answer it. And then it's like, okay, what do you want? But by the time I got through putting in what I wanted to say, I noticed at the bottom it asks about refund. So I go, yeah, that's what I want, a refund. So I
Right.
clicked on that refund, and then it says, okay, give us the date. So you had that person said, find your safe. So you put the date in, then it gives us something else. And then it says, okay, you got two options. Pick this one or this one. And I was like, just give me the refund. And so then
Right.
it says, okay, and it was done. So when we talk about putting this kind of information on your website, I literally just had this experience with a big company,
Mhm.
where sometimes, it may be a little nerving for some of us to not be able to speak to a real person. And I know that there's some companies out there, even dealing with my website, I'm like, can I talk to a real person? But it's
Yeah,
still
it's
good to have
hard.
these other things in place.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's good and sometimes it's like, but definitely this is something for small businesses to definitely get attached to and be able to use this, especially like you said, if you don't have a large team, this is something that you know you can utilize to keep things flowing smoothly the way they need to be.
Yeah.
And so, speaking of, when we talking about employees, for your company, training and onboarding is actually another one of the things that AI can actually do, helping you through these processes for providing instant guidance and answering frequently asked questions. So, it's kind of setting it up that same kind of way. So, you can have like a onboarding chatbot integration where this is actually implementing. Your systems for the company to be able to provide like instant support excuse me, to new employees.
Mhm.
So of course we know we all go through training and whatever, but then you also have like you said, some of those words and questions or whatever it is that you put in the system, and it can kind of break down certain things to them and give them quick answers so that it won't be a big delay.
Right.
Also with just information on materials and company policies, some of the frequently asked questions on all of that, or
Mhm.
just being able to like retrieve like relevant information real quick, right?
Right.
Um, and then the interactive onboarding sessions, this is where the design with the chatbot is able to conduct interactive onboarding sessions. So,
Right.
where you're guiding new employees through essential information, such as introductions to the teams or company culture, those kind of things.
Mhm.
And then, of course, we're all familiar with the policies and procedures. So, being
Yeah.
able to get an explanation of that, explaining the company policies and procedures and the compliance guidelines and all of that. And this can also include the details about benefits and code of conduct and just other information that's important as far as documents and all of that. Another thing is the task automation. This actually enables the chatbot to automate certain onboard tasks, such as getting email accounts set up, providing access to the internal systems, and assisting with paperwork and things like that. And when we talk about real time, getting the real time question and answers done. So this allows the new employees to actually ask real time questions
Mhm.
during the onboarding process, and it can provide immediate answers, just reducing the time that's needed to be constantly having to call a human being or the supervisor for certain things. But of course, just having that set up definitely, like I said, saves a lot of time.
Mhm.
Personalizing the guidance, having a personalized guidance that's just customizing the onboarding experience based on the role of the department of the new employee. You
Mhm.
know, we're talking about small businesses, but as you grow and you've got all these different, well, really, small businesses got a whole bunch of departments too. Just sometimes
Exactly. Yeah.
you just wearing several hats, right?
Right.
So this gives you the ability to provide tailored guidance on information specific to their responsibility, whatever department that is.
Right.
And then just progressing the tracking. This is really one of the very important things for growth. Um, so this is implementing the different features that allow the chatbot to track the progress of the new employees. You kind of want to
Mhm.
know what they're doing. I know
Yeah.
somebody who was working online and they were like, yeah, I got to make sure I'm moving this mouse every 30 seconds.
Exactly.
So a lot
Like,
of
this
companies,
person isn't working.
like what, you've been stagnant still for a minute. So so just being able to progress, track the progress on the employees through the onboarding process and providing like reminders and things of that nature to be able to complete certain tasks or milestones. And then, of course, you kind of touched a little bit on the multilingual support. And so when you have people who speak different languages, excuse me, or multiple languages, even just with one person, this can help to ensure effective communication during the onboarding for all of the employees as a whole. You know, sometimes we get those phone calls and it says for English, press one.
Right. Yeah.
And so, and of course, we know we all get these phone calls from different businesses, and there's people that work all over the world. So, just being able to try to understand. So, this is definitely one of the great things of multilingual support. And then just having a continuous learning support. So this is where it just kind of extends beyond the onboarding to support continuous learning. So this provides like resources on answering the employees' questions, you know, as they grow into their role, because, you know, of course, you're not going to get everything on the front end, right? So just being able to have that, and like I mentioned earlier, not always having to turn to, you know, somebody that you're working with, or, you know, if you're working at home, constantly having to make phone calls, talking to a real person to figure out what and how do you do this thing, right? And then the integration with learning management systems. So this is the LMS. So this is the this kind of helps you to be able to seamlessly connect onboarding information with ongoing training modules and creating a cohesive learning experience. And I know you're real familiar with that, putting together your stuff for your program, you know, the schooling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
And working with other colleges and universities previously, like, having to do onboarding training for them, create their
mhm.
videos and all of that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then the last thing on this section is just the feedback mechanism. So this is where you're able to have the employees provide their input on the
Mhm.
effectiveness of whatever system that they're using, to make sure that it's working in a way that you want it to be able to work. So to be able to continue having improvements on, you know, wherever improvements are needed. So
Yeah, super important. And then, of course, going into personalized marketing. So, again, you talked a little bit earlier about content creation. Well, when you leverage ChatGPT, you can also do this to analyze customer data and to generate personalized marketing messages for targeted campaigns. And how you would do that is specifically is when you're going to the ChatGPT prompt, again, making sure that you're putting in what your company does, what you sell, what your goal is and things like that, so that when you can put the data in there and then you're asking it, hey, create messaging for customers that bought such and such and such and such, it's able to do that. And
mhm,
sometimes it's also able for you to uh, take reports specifically from the back office of your sales channel, copy it and drop it into Chat GPT, and then it'll create messaging specifically for those customers. And so, customer data analysis is, of course, so important. This is why when you start having the CRM, whether it's through MailChimp or Constant Contact or whatever sales channel you're using, Shopify, all of these different sites. I know Wix also has, I think Wix is the second largest e commerce site. But what happens is these people will come onto your site and automatically, when you set it up in the system, it can tag them based on sales. So if someone purchases a shirt, it will tag it and it'll say, "Am I frozen?" That's
yeah.
not what it'll say, but I know I'm frozen right now.
At least we can hear you.
Okay. So what'll happen is it'll target them specifically based on the cells. And so when you see the cells happening, you don't want them to get messaging about just every single thing. Sometimes you only want them to get messaging about that particular thing because they purchased that particular thing. And then, of course, this also leads to segmentation and targeting. Again, segmentation helps to segment a certain number of the targeted customers or the targeting campaigns that you want to go out to specific customers. So, say for instance, for me, I have a database or a newsletter, and then if I only wanted to go out to the people who are interested in my Moroccan trip, that's what that would be for.
Mhm,
And then, of course, the behavior analysis, it analyzes customer behavior data to understand patterns, preferences, and engagement levels. And this is so important because when people are on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all of these other channels, and they keep seeing that same ad, this is what that is. This is that behavioral analysis. And if you don't want this to be tracking you, making sure that you go in and set that up or you turn that off, especially inside of your Google. So Google has history. It tracks your location, it listens to your phone calls, it listens to everything. And if
Oh,
you
wow.
don't turn that off, then that's kind of like, you know, we'll be talking like, girl, I need a brand new washer and dryer. Next thing you know, there's a washer and dryer on your Facebook feed or on your Instagram feed. That's why, because it's
Yeah.
listening to all of that data and it's tracking it and it's making sure that whatever you want and or need shows up in ways that it can actually again turn into a sale. And then, of course, you have dynamic content generation, which is basically training ChatGPT to dynamically generate content for marketing materials, such as emails, social media posts, product recommendations, based on individual, of course, customer profiles. And as you go into each customer profile, you'll see those specific tags again for every single thing that they do. And this is how you learn.
Uh-oh. Let me see. Are we still live? We just lost Naima, but that's okay. So let's see. Naima was talking about the, yep, I don't went all the way up. Hold on. So yeah, so Naima was just talking about the lead generation as far as the engagement. So I'm just going to go ahead and get off into the market trend analysis, okay? And so here, this is where you're going to be able to have the tools to update current industry trends, emerging technologies, and consumer behaviors. So this is part of what Naima was just talking about as far as them being able to track and know. So, you know, certain things that you're buying, things that you're looking at, they're going to be able to track these different things on your behaviors and what you do and what you like and that kind of thing. You know, we've all seen the emails that, okay, thank you for purchasing this. And all the other clients or customers that purchase this are also interested in these items. And so this is that kind of thing. Customer preference exploration. This is where you're going to be able to analyze your customers' feedback, reviewing social media interactions, and just understanding how everything evolves and the preferences and expectations from that. The idea of the generation sessions. This is the brainstorming session. That, let me see, we kind of talked about the brainstorming session, your competitor analysis. And so we're going to get off into, oh, I think she's coming back.
Okay,
She's
sorry about
coming
that.
back.
The
Yeah.
internet, I don't know what it's doing today,
Yeah,
but
I
what
was like
I
trying to
see
figure
you
out
right
where you
now.
were. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So I kind of started going over a little bit, talking about the marketing, because I wasn't sure exactly where you were. So I was kind of looking at something
Oh,
else.
okay. So what was the
Yeah.
last part you heard?
I know that you were talking about the uh-uh. The lead generation, as far, not lead generation, I was kind of talking about that, but the different you know how you can track when you talked about Google and then being able to hear things and the
Oh, okay. Yeah,
conversation.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of.
Oh, so the example that I was using is like when you go on to some of these other, cheaper websites to purchase something, and you'll tell your friend, "Hey, girl, go look at this white pantsuit that I'm trying to buy from Sheen or somebody," right? And when you go on there, they can't find that same white pantsuit. And the reason that they can't find it is because their behavioral analysis preferences is different than yours. And so
Right,
it may come up and it might not, but sometimes it may take longer for them to find that specific thing on the site than it did for you because your behavioral analysis is totally different. And then going on to dynamic content generation is basically when you're using email, social media, product recommendations based on your individual customers' profiles. And again, those are the tags that you find whenever a customer purchases something or they do something. Those tags begin to generate. Personal recommendations also come up. And again, that is what you see when you have Instagram, Facebook ads, and things like that. Those are personalized to you. So if you say, hey, I need a refrigerator, guess what? Lowe's is going to start popping up, all of those different things. And did you all hear when I was talking about how to turn that off? Okay, great. And so, yeah, you can turn that off inside of Google and also on Facebook by not installing Messenger on your phone. And that's just if you're interested in not having those targeted things. And another thing, when those ads come up, if you don't want to continue to see those ads, always scroll to the bottom and put not interested or no longer want to see, so that it can start dialing back. Like, you don't want to see all these ads on your Facebook feed because you're not being able to see all this good stuff from your friends. But another thing that this does is cross sell and upsell opportunities. So it begins to again analyze the customer's data and for products and services that align with their specific preferences, and this is how you are able to upsell them. And then something else that happens with the A/B testing. A/B testing is something that really happens when it comes to uh, campaigns, when you're doing newsletters. And so you'll have the information inside of the newsletter that is the same, but the titles might be different. And that is basically title A and title B. And what that's doing is it's showing you and or training you to see whether or not something, whether or not I need some AI to help now. Right now. I'm sorry.
I already was like, wait a minute, hold on, let me see. What am I doing? Where am I at? Look, because I got
The
thrown
A/B
off.
testing. No, no. What would be a title that you would use if you were selling your butterfly wrap? What are two separate titles that you would use?
I was just I was just getting ready to say fly away. No, no. Let me see a title. Looking to transform your wardrobe. No, looking to transform your outfit in several different ways.
Mm-hmm. That
Yeah.
would be one. And then the other one would be,
The other one would be pack less. Pack
oh,
less
yes,
and
love
get
it.
many looks and but with pack, like I need to get those words right, but you don't have to pack a whole lot. You can wear
Yes.
this, you got so many different colors, so many different ways you can wear it, and your packing you would be very limited to your shopping. I mean, your traveling, especially with vacations.
Oh, that's a great way
Mhm.
to, in the summertime, use A/B testing again. So again, one would be, hey, this is what this is, and then the other one would be, of course, the pack less. And so anyone who travels, as soon as if it's summertime and I see something come up and I want to purchase something, but it says pack less, I definitely would click on that because I
Mhm.
want to pack less when I go on vacations, even if it's out of the country, especially if I'm going for extended period of time, I want to be able to have enough space to bring more stuff back, right? Instead of having to take a whole bunch of stuff on the front end. But some final things is that again, customer engagement, feedback analysis, multi-channel personalization, all of that stuff comes into play. Privacy compliance, it comes into play when it comes to the customer's data and information. And this is also why it's so important to make sure that people's private information is being sealed. And this is why the companies make sure that all of your preferences is not sold to other companies. And even though we know sometimes that does happen, um, your preferences are privacy. It's for private. So if you see any violations of that, you definitely need to report that to uh, the company and or the government when it comes to. So I don't know. Sometimes only on your computer when someone gives you a sale and you don't want it, definitely click on report spam. And if
Mhm.
someone sends you information that is a link That is, you're not sure who sent you that information. Report phishing, because basically they're trying to steal your data. And that all of that is still AI. So making sure you understand what that is. And again, report spam so that Google and Yahoo or AOL or whatever else you're using can see that and understand the trend of it, because it'll put that language that you receive into an AI or chatbot so that it'll catch that when other people use it. And again, if someone's saying, "Hey, click on this," your $15,000 check is waiting. They might be trying to steal your data, and you want to make sure that that language is reported as well, so that they can prevent people from stealing your data, getting access to your checking account, or any of those things.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. Well, I actually went into this marketing trend analysis when you got booted off.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah,
Just a little bit. So just to kind of reiterate or touch just a little bit on the beginning of that, this is just pretty much exploring the product service ideas based on whatever your market trend is and your customer preferences are. So
girl. Hmm.
kind of talked about the marketing trend analysis. This is where you're able to use these different tools to stay updated on the current industry and the trends and emerging technologies and consumer behaviors and things like that. So I kind
Hmm.
of talked about consumer behaviors as far as some of what you touched on earlier with knowing, them kind of knowing what it is that you like, what your purchases are and how many people are purchasing, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Also, just customer feedback on reviews on social media interactions and
Yeah.
understanding how evolving preferences and expectations can be when it comes to the analyzing the customer's feedback. And then also the idea on the generation sessions. So this is where you get to do your brainstorming sessions, discussing your industry specifically
Yeah.
and the target audience that you have and the potential gaps or opportunities that are in the market so that you can be able to develop and grow into more and being able to produce more products and whatever it is that you need to do. And then also the competitor analysis, and this is where the products and the strategies for the customer feedback is identified in this area here, where this can also set your product apart actually from other people's products. So
Hmm.
innovation is like keeping you from being in starvation.
Okay. I love that. No copy.
Yeah. And then cross industry inspiration. So, this is where you'll be able to explore innovative ideas from other industries, actually, that could be adapted or applied to your own.
Hmm.
We talk
Hmm.
about inspiration and all of that. So, cross industry inspiration can lead to unique product concepts as well. And so, we want to also be able to have it where the chat can give you suggestions on enhancement on additional features
Yeah.
that you may have with your existing products already,
Hmm.
and things based on what your customers needs are and what the market is demanding. And so we know whenever we have a product, this product has always been created because this is like a need somewhere. So you see that something is needed, and so this is how business gets started.
Yeah.
um, I was talking to someone the other day about, I think they were saying it was somebody in their family, like they can't use like regular soap. And so it's certain ingredients or whatnot. And then I go, like, this is how people get started. And so, my husband has
Yeah.
they have the soap company that they're working on. And so I told them, you guys should really look at, some products. And so this is another one of those things, you like listening to your customer
Yeah.
and being able to expand the products that you have and be able to tap into another market even larger than what you're already doing. So emerging technology is another area where this is where you're able to give the different concepts for your product, have concepts for your product and have added innovations to it. So it's another
Hmm.
form of just building on
Yeah.
the integrating into what you already have. Also, um, conducting like virtual surveys. Surveys are like really important because sometimes you see when you get off a phone call or something at the end of a website, and they're like, a lot of companies actually listen and take this feedback, and this the surveys or the questionnaires, this is gathering direct input from the target audience, and it actually speaks to their preferences and what their needs are. And so,
Yeah.
definitely very important. And then the feasibility analysis is where potential ideas, considering factors like the products or the cost of certain things in the market, as far as the technical constraints and things like that. Um, Knowing like these different factors to consider, and so the prototype and testing support, it's just so much that this thing can do, interactive refinement. This is pretty much where you're generating ideas and refining the enhancement based on the feedback, from the stakeholders, the industry experts, and the potential customers at hand for that particular product. And then, of course, conducting preliminary searches to identify the potential intellectual property considerations for existing patents related to the proposed product ideas.
Hmm.
Um, this is something that's really important too when you talk about having patents for your different products. And so this is something that can help you with the property search on that kind of thing. And then lastly, I think is lastly, collaborating with design teams. So this is where you're going to be able to facilitate collaboration with the chat and design the teams to translate innovative concepts into visually appealing, the user-friendly product design.
Hmm.
So, it's just pretty much like refining this thing that you already have in so many different angles. And so I'm really excited about this because I'm kind of, we all kind of at the top of the year, you start setting your plans and your goals for like the year,
Hmm.
and so I've got a lot of things coming down the pipeline. And so just going through this process, we're doing this to be able to help our viewers and help
Yeah.
gaining a lot of information by listening to this. But this is just like really exciting, especially like Naima mentioned at the beginning, just coming off of this exciting week we just had last week. And so we're ready to just set it off.
Yeah. And of course, always remembering that your website should have
Mhm.
an interactive experience, period. And if you don't
Yes.
have that, the more interaction that you have on your website, the more data, of course, you're getting with your client
Mhm.
and your non clients. And remembering that feedback is not necessarily what it's saying about you, it's saying it's what it's saying about your customer. And so when you start looking at feedback, you're actually gathering data that lets you know, yes, I'm hitting the targets, or no, I'm totally far away. Because if someone says, oh, such and such and such, and it has nothing to do with your product and or service, it means that you're off, not them, because they're
Mhm.
perceiving it the way that they're receiving it. And that is good data for your website and for your product and or things. And of course, we already talked about a lot of all of the things when it comes to interactive website
Mhm.
expectations, because all of that stuff is the same thing as forms and the bots and all of that different stuff. And then, of
Right.
course, the data analysis information is also just as important, but the assistance with that, and again, generating that information, getting your data sets and all of that stuff. And sometimes I think that people may not look at this information, they may overlook it. And when they're overlooking it, this is oftentimes when people find themselves plateauing when it comes to products specifically. Like, man, I don't know why I can't get people to buy this cup, or I don't know why nobody will buy this steak. I know people love steak knives. And well, yeah, did you really see if that's really something that they want to purchase, and
Mhm.
some instead of something you want them to purchase? And
Mhm.
again, that's why it's so important to make sure that you're getting the feedback that is needed and or necessary, so that you're not spinning your wheels with a product that may never sell. Which
And or
happens a lot.
mhm. Yeah, and or I was gonna say too, the other thing about having that product is the marketing part that's so important, because sometimes you have a product that people want, but you have to get to the right people,
Yeah.
to be able to
Yep.
sell that.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. And
Mhm.
so AI is a great tool, has so many things to offer. And again, remembering that that experience is really based on you, the user, being the tool to request the data that you're seeking, not that GPT is just going to spit it out for you. And then, of course, it also has a component inside of the paid version of ChatGPT, OpenAI, and on in Canva. So those are the exact same tools. So if you don't want to pay for another version in ChatGPT, then you already are paying for Canva. It has the same thing. It's the same tool. Dolly is what it's called, and it'll create images for you. And so that's also important when you're thinking about products as well. Creating a specific product, what it's going to look like before you can create that prototype before you actually start selling the product, so you can see if it's going to look the way that you want it to look like. And then you can do surveys. Hey, would you like to buy this shirt from your previous customer base, to
Mhm.
see if that's something that they may want, and be able to add to their collection. Because if not, again, you're just going to be having products sitting at home in the basement, not for sale. Okay, right? We don't want that for everybody.
Right.
Nefertari, do you have any last words when it comes to AI? I know that I personally use it for my business. I've created, or I've restructured my framework with AI to help me better be in alignment with my ideal client. I've
Mhm.
used it for messaging when it comes to newsletter as well as social media posts. I've also used it to create my ideal avatar, which lets me know about their wants, dreams, hopes, goals, objections, challenges, family problems, all of that. It created a whole character for me. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I love it. So, what you have any last words with
Yeah,
AI?
I've been able to navigate the chat, in some ways, but I mostly use it for social media. I'll use it for social media content, or kind of done some brainstorming with it as well,
Hmm. Hmm.
coming up with some ideas. I've got some things coming down the pipe, and for designers and my website layout, some classes, and so I've been able to use it to help me with structuring that as well. Sometimes, like, even like, we mentioned just like doing letters, for
Hmm.
emails or whatever, and I know a lot of, like, even now you have in your email where you can say, help me generate whatever, whatever. So even the Gmails are using all of that already now anyway.
Right.
So being able to help with your writing. And sometimes it's like I could probably have it, already written, and I'm like, hey, just perfect this for me,
Yes.
grammar check it, whatever, whatever, and then to spit out something, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good, but no, I don't like that part, but yeah, this is good. And so it's, I've been able to use it in that way, but I'm definitely looking forward to taking it to another level, um,
Hmm.
being able to use it for my business with a lot of what we already talked about here today. So just having the digital age experience and being able to embrace the AI technologies, I'm definitely looking forward to that. So
Yes, and definitely use AI for grammar check. Okay?
mhm,
Because some
mhm.
of you all still in 2024, you're over 40 years old and you don't know the difference between there and there
I was
and
gonna
there. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. Okay? And some of you all don't know what a contraction is. Okay?
Uh-oh.
But anyway, I could go on. Okay? But yes, please use ChatGPT to fix that grammar. And so, as we bring this episode to a close, thank you so much again, Crown Nation, for joining us today. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram. And until
Mhm.
next time, peace out.
Assalamu
Assalamu
alaikum.
alaikum.
Alaikum salam.